Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and it's Friday, which means it's time for Tech Briefs, where we recap some of the biggest stories in technology. And today, I've got my very special co-host here. Joining me is Caleb Dennison. Caleb, so good to see you, sir. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Greg. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Let's jump right into these because we've got a lot to get through in about 10 minutes. And we'll start off with one of the biggest things happening earlier this week, which was the Apple event. So the hardware side, they had two new iPads, had two new watches, and we've got all the details about that at Digital Trends. But one thing I wanted to focus on was the Apple One service. And that's something we weren't sure if we were going to see. So essentially it's this. It's a subscription bundle, which then there's various different ones, but it would bring Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple News, Apple Arcade, and Apple Fitness Plus, which is a whole other thing that we can discuss too, but bringing them all kind of into these different bundles. And there was an immediate backlash from Spotify saying that this is once again an example of Apple being anti-competitive and they want it to be investigated. And I guess to ask you about this, what were your thoughts on this kind of bundling of services, and do you think it is anti-competitive?
Well, I'm not surprised that Apple is bundling the services up. I mean, look, we don't really own anything anymore, do we? We don't own our movies. We don't own our music. We almost don't even own our photos. Everything's stored in the cloud. Everything's a subscription service. And Apple really does need to move to services in order to, maintain good revenue. While the new iPads and the upcoming iPhones may be super exciting from a hardware standpoint, Apple doesn't make a ton of money on those, if you can believe them. They are expensive devices to make, and once they land here in the US, there's not a huge amount of margin on the hardware. So if Apple isn't going to make its nut on the hardware, then it's definitely going to want to go to in-app purchases, and we know that there's a little bit of trouble there going on between Apple and Epic Games, for instance, but also these services. So when you have that many services and you have people that are deep in the Apple ecosystem, why not bundle them all together to make it easier to get at everything they need? I mean, this is really for Apple Power users. I think they're going to find it really handy. For those who aren't so much power users, maybe they don't want everything. I mean, I personally don't need Apple TV Plus. It's not my bag. So I still want to be able to pick and choose which services I get, but I'm not surprised to see Apple putting them all together. Now, as for whether or not this is an antitrust thing, I haven't really landed on one side or the other. I'm not surprised that Spotify is making noise. Spotify and Apple Music are really the biggest competitors in the streaming music marketplace. Nobody else can really touch them. So I'm not surprised to see that Spotify is making a little bit of noise about this, but honestly, I haven't really decided whether I feel like this is an antitrust issue or not. I kind of want to see how this plays out, see how the pricing works out over the long term, and see if a whole bunch of people actually jump ship from Spotify and land on Apple Music. I just don't see that happening. I think if you're a Spotify user, you're sticking with Spotify. You're going to keep using Spotify. I don't think that all of a sudden this bundle deal is going to have you jumping ship. Not sure exactly what Spotify is worried about, but we'll have to see how that plays out over the next few weeks.
I think it's probably just the fact that because the pricing is so low to get all because you can get like 3 or 4 different things for the same price as Spotify, so maybe that's what they're worried about. They're like maybe thinking Apple's doing this as a loss leader just to get people onto that, but it's hard to say. I think, like you said, we'll have to see how it plays out over time. Definitely an interesting move by them going into services. All right, I know we got to get to our next topic though. The other big thing this week, well, one of them is the Sony having their event. So last week we had Xbox, announcing their 2 consoles as far as when you could buy them. Sony finally following suit and giving us a price, $499, going to be available on November 12th, 2 days after the Xbox. Clearly these console wars are definitely heating up. PlayStation showcasing they have, Miles Morales. There's a new God of War on the way. But I guess the bottom line is I want to ask you your opinion on this. Between Xbox and PlayStation 5 with these new consoles, who do you think is kind of leading right now? And what did you think about this presentation?
Well, first of all, good luck getting a PS5. They are seemingly sold out. We know that PlayStation says they are going to be making more available, that they'll have more of these available than they had of the PlayStation 4, 7 years ago, which sold 1 million units on the first day, and I think something like 2.5 million in the first couple of weeks. So I do think that, the PlayStation 5 will come up with more units, and hopefully that you can get one. And I assume that on launch day, you'll be able to get one if you walk into a store soon enough and grab one of units that weren't actually set aside for pre-order. At least I hope that's the case,
Right.
because I do believe that
Yeah.
Microsoft is going to be prepared with plenty of Series X consoles. And in terms of like which one do I think is on top, I think if you look at the technical specifications of the Xbox Series X, it's got bigger numbers in a couple of key spaces. So I'm very enticed by the Series X. I think it's a really complete machine. Whether those tech specs turn into better gameplay, better graphics, that remains to be seen. Sometimes those tech specs the numbers don't, tell the full story. That's certainly the case in televisions. And I think that might be the case
Right.
here with the game consoles. I think that what it's going to come down to is titles. I mean, really, that's what it's always come down to. Which console has the titles that you want? And then from there, I think the experience is going to be fairly similar. I think we're going to be looking at yet another generation of folks who are very married to either the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X. If you've always been an Xbox person, I don't see any reason to suddenly jump ship and become a PlayStation 5 person. And the same is true vice versa. I think if you're into the PlayStation Network, you're already paying that subscription,
Yeah.
or with Xbox Live and everything that they're doing there, you're going to want to just kind of naturally progress. They both look like excellent consoles, and I'm very excited to see what some of this next gen gameplay looks like when the titles start coming out. And of course, the best titles will be down the road several months after developers have had a long time to work with the new hardware and maximize their games to run on that hardware.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's exciting. Like, I mean, this will be a really exciting holiday season.
Yeah.
Very cool package to open up. And I'm really, really excited to see what this all looks like in the end.
I think it's definitely exciting no matter how you look at it. I do think Xbox's pricing structure with that rental kind of, not rental, but it's almost like a that monthly fee that you can do. It's much more in the long run, but I think that could get some people in the door with that. But we've got all the details on that at digitaltrends.com. And I know we're about out of time, but something that's breaking today is this, and that is the fact that TikTok and WeChat are going to be banned from the App Store as of September 20th, at least right now, because of the fact that sale to Oracle isn't going to work, and then WeChat's just kind of getting screwed over altogether. They're going to be pretty much banned. TikTok, it sounds like there's some wiggle room, so the apps will go out of the App Store on Sunday, again, as of now. But TikTok has until November 12th for U.S. companies to sever ties with it. So as of right now, that kind of gives it a little window there to still actually complete that sale, and people can still use TikTok. They won't get the updates, but still, it's a big move. And I guess just quickly, Caleb, what do you think about this move? Do you think that TikTok is going to be gone forever?
Greg, I have been trying to wrap my head around this all morning long. I can't believe this is going down. The uproar over this,
Right?
it's just gonna be insane. Like, if you've got a kid under the age of 15, be prepared to have to explain to them why suddenly TikTok isn't going to work. I mean, a lot of young people, millions of young people in the U.S. alone use
100
TikTok.
million monthly users in the U.S.
How many?
100 million is what TikTok
Yeah,
said.
like the impact is going to be massive, and I'm not sure how I am sure how I feel about this. I think it's ridiculous. The security concerns I've yet to see some real concrete data that shows that we are highly exposed. I know all this data is flowing over into China through various venues. How sensitive that data is or how they're using it, I have yet to see it proven that it's being used for nefarious purposes. I guess, sometimes it's worth erring on the side of caution, but what a huge ban. And then with WeChat, there are a lot of people in the US that use WeChat as a commerce tool with their business partners in China. And to have that just suddenly cut off, it's going to have some major ramifications. And I think that's a really big deal. Now, I want to be clear. I know that on Sunday, officially you won't be able to get the app. If you've already got the app, you'll still be able to use it, but apparently it's going to time out and be such a hassle that you probably won't. So get ready for an uproar. I think we're going to be hearing a lot about this in the coming days. It seems like it's being used as a leverage tool. So whether TikTok comes back or not kind of depends on whether they're willing to deal with the Trump administration and abide by their terms. I think it's a pressure tactic. Not sure it's a smart one, but again, we're going to have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely going to be big, and like you said, on Sunday once this starts rolling out to maybe a lot of the kids who are not paying attention to this, and all of a sudden it's not working, it is going to be a big deal out there. So if you're watching right now and you don't use TikTok, fine, you're still going to be affected by this. Absolutely, everybody will be. So big thing. Well, I know we're out of time, Caleb. Always great to see you. Thank you for being here for Tech Briefs. Appreciate it greatly. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great, Greg. Thanks a lot.
Caleb Dennison right here on Digital Trends Live. And again, hit subscribe to Tech Briefs as a podcast as well, wherever you get podcasts. You can hit subscribe to that, and we'll update you every week with what's going on. And we're out of time for this